Before this Senate floor speech gets into the real political fireworks, notice how quietly it begins. Routine business, interns, formal procedure, and then suddenly the conversation shifts into war, peace, Iran, oil prices, nuclear talks, and presidential risk. That contrast is exactly what makes this moment worth watching. Is this a smart diplomatic pause or a dangerous gamble dressed up as restraint? Stay with this, because the speech quickly moves from polite Senate housekeeping to sharp political theater.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent for the following interns from my office to be granted 4 privileges until June 19th, 2026. Nathan Hayes, Bradley Fuselier, Gabby Summerall, and Lucy John.
Without objection.
Mr. President, Nathan Hayes, to whom I just referred as an intern in my office, he's from Baton Rouge. He's a rising junior at LSU. Lucy John is from Lafayette, Louisiana. Lucy is a rising senior at Tulane. Bradley Fuselier is from Ville Platte. Bradley is a rising senior at LSU, and Gabby Summerall from Monroe is a rising junior.
That line is the emotional center of the speech. Give peace a chance. But politically, it is also a careful framing move. The speaker is not saying Iran should be trusted forever. He is saying this is a 60-day test. That matters because it lowers the argument from, is this a perfect deal, to, is a temporary pause worth trying? So here is the real question for viewers. Is this statesmanship, or is it giving too much room to a hostile government?
He's a rising junior at Covenant College. They are interning in my office this summer, and I'm glad to have them. Last night, Mr. President, I read the memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran. I read it twice. And for what it's worth, here's my conclusion. I think we ought to give peace a chance. And that's all I'm saying today. You're entitled to your opinion, but all I'm saying today is I think we ought to give peace a chance. I've, all week long, even before the memorandum came out, I've heard all the speculation about the agreement, the rank speculation. I've listened to people say, well, I don't like this, and I don't like that, and this is in it and it shouldn't be, and this isn't in it and it should be, and if we do this, this is going to happen. And it's all rank speculation. The people offering these points of view, to which they're entitled, they're not clairvoyant. They're not any more clairvoyant than I am. Just like me,
now the speech shifts from grand foreign policy to everyday economics. The speaker is arguing that the immediate result is movement through the Strait of Hormuz, oil sales restarting for 60 days, and lower pressure on oil, gasoline, fertilizer, and other commodities. Whether viewers agree with the policy or not, this is a classic political move. Connect a global security issue to household costs. The stakes are no longer just diplomatic. They become personal for voters.
Just like me, they have to wait for the future, like everybody else. Here's what I see in the document. The only certainty, the only practical, real consequence of this document is that for 60 days, America has removed its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. And for 60 days, Iran has removed its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, which means ships containing oil and natural gas and fertilizer can go back and forth just like they were before the conflict. That's the only practical consequence of this document. The other practical consequence is that in the document, Iran says will be able to start selling its oil again. That it is willing to negotiate for 60 days to get rid of its fissile material that it can use to make a nuclear weapon. As a result, including but not limited to the price of oil is going down. It centrifuges that it uses and as a result of the uranium. The price of gasoline. And in the document, Iran says we're willing to renounce the Strait of Hormuz, our desire to have a nuclear weapon. The price of fertilizer, for example, and other commodities that go back and forth. And in the document through the Strait of Hormuz, Iran says for 60 days, and that's a good. We're willing to negotiate, and that's all we know. Some sort of inspection.
This is where the agreement gets framed as diplomacy backed by force. The speaker repeats the 60-day deadline again and again because repetition creates urgency and accountability. Iran, according to the speech, gets a short window to negotiate, renounce nuclear ambitions, and accept inspections, but not an unlimited one. Politically, that helps the speaker support peace without sounding soft. But the big question remains, does a deadline make diplomacy stronger, or does it only work if the threat is truly credible?
That's the other thing that we know. Now, this might be a good time, Mr. President, to say that as I've said all week, and as I've said in another context before, I trust the Iranian government like I trust gas station sushi. The Iranian government, not the Iranian people, the Iranian government are a bunch of religious nuts. Their religion tells them that if you and I or anybody don't agree with all the tenets of their religion, that they want to kill you and hurt you the entire time you're dying. As far as I'm concerned, if your religion tells you in order to be devout you have to kill somebody, you probably ought to get another religion. My experience with the Iranian government, not the Iranian people, is that they lie like they breathe. They lie like fish swim. They learned to lie before they learned to talk. But you know what? They've got 60 days to prove otherwise. 60 days, not 160, not a year. They've got 60 days to prove otherwise. And if they don't prove it, the bombing is going to start again. I heard President Trump say it last night. Big as Dallas, right there on television. They got 60 days. And
this is the sharpest and most theatrical section of the speech. The speaker uses humor, insult, and blunt distrust to separate the Iranian government from the Iranian people, while making clear he does not view negotiations as trust. The gas station sushi line is memorable because it is funny, harsh, and politically useful all at once. But underneath the punchline is a serious message. Peace is being tested, not assumed. Was this effective tough talk, or did the language risk escalating the temperature?
And if they don't do it, if they're jacking me around, I'm going to start bombing again. The other thing that I'm certain of today is that Iran is immeasurably weaker than it was a year ago, than it was before the United States and Israel bombed their nuclear facilities last June and before the conflict that we've watched transpire over the last couple of months. Immeasurably weaker. There are whole swaths of Iran that look like the aftermath of a bar brawl. There are entire regions in Iran that look like something out of Mad Max 4. We have bombed the living bejesus out of them. We haven't destroyed all their missiles, but we've destroyed a bunch of them. We've destroyed their weapons production factories. We've destroyed their entire Navy. We've destroyed a lot of their drones. We have just given them a curb stomping. Hated to do it, but we did what we have to do. The private sector, Iran's got, I don't know how anybody's eating or living in Iran. They've got 70% inflation, huge unemployment. Iran today, and I regret this, but it had to be done. Iran today, its public and private sector, is held together with spit and duct tape. And all the president has done is say, okay, for 60 days, I'm going to give peace a chance and give you a chance to do what you say you're going to do, 60 days. That's it. I hope it works out. I've got my doubts. But the president's taken a big risk here. And he's been roundly criticized by my Democratic friends, which I don't really get. You know, since the conflict started, my Democratic colleagues have been offering bill after bill after bill to stop the conflict and to take the authority away from the executive branch to prosecute it. I don't know how many bills, a squillion. Bill after bill after bill. They haven't passed. But now that the president has done it, the Democrats are unhappy. The New York Times, I was reading the New York Times this morning. I mean, they're just bashing this agreement, which they've been asking for. Now, I don't mean any disrespect, but I discount what's in the New York Times because I know the folks running the New York Times. And the folks running the New York Times hate Republicans as much as the devil loves sin. The New York Times, the people running the New York Times, would endorse a dead armadillo over a live Republican if the dead armadillo had a D behind its name. That's just the way it is. I get it. They're entitled to their opinion. And the New York Times has been called many things, some good, some bad. They've never been called unbiased. That's just a fact. It goes with the turf. And once again, this is America. You're entitled to your opinion. But I wanted to come down this morning and say, Mr. President, I think we ought to give peace a chance. I think we ought to give peace a chance. It's only 60 days. And we're just going to have to trust the president on this one. But we'll know soon. And I hope it works. I hope our giving peace a chance makes peace possible. Mr. President, my work here is done. I can see myself out.
So the full strategy of this speech is clear. Defend a temporary diplomatic pause, emphasize possible economic relief, warn Iran that the deadline is real, and frame the president's decision as a risky but reasonable test of peace. The speaker also argues that critics wanted the conflict stopped but are now unhappy with the pause. Whether you agree or disagree, the accountability question is huge. If this works, who gets credit? If it fails, Who owns the consequences? If you found this political breakdown as intense as we did, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life political commentary and analysis.